This chapter addresses three important social issues related to ownership of the internet and access to the internet by users. I want you to have a basic understanding of these three issues, um, some of the controversies that these issues address, and I also want you to work through your own position on these issues and what you see as the best approach for addressing some of the problems raised by these issues. So the first is the security of personal and private information. The problem here is that as people go online, as people visit internet sites, companies gather more and more information from these users through a variety of means, such as cookies or data mining, and this information is gathered for marketing, targeted advertising, and for some more nefarious purposes as well. And increasingly, government is also monitoring online communication for supposed security purposes. Well, the big question here is how much is too much? How much uh, latitude should we provide both government and businesses in terms of gathering personal information on computer users? Secondly, there is the concern about the appropriateness of online materials. This raises questions about the content that users see, hear, and read online. And there are worries that with an unregulated internet, there is a whole lot of really questionable content out there. That there's a vast amount of sexually explicit, pornographic media, also lots of extreme graphic violence on websites, and a number of groups and organizations are worried that some of this content is frankly inappropriate, and in particular, it's very inappropriate for children and young people. So questions here about how to handle questionable content online. Should it be limited, restricted? How do we do that? And then the third question, or the third issue, has to do with the accessibility and openness of the internet. This gets to the fact that historically there's been unequal access to the internet, what's referred to as the digital divide, where some parts of society have greater access to computers, broadband, internet connections than other groups of society that have very limited access to the internet or no access at all. What steps, if any, should society take to make certain that there's more equitable access to the internet? So, again, think about some of your responses for each of these three issues. One of the recurring issues that's going to come up a lot throughout the course has to do with ownership of the media. And I think what we're going to find is that in a lot of media sectors, we tend to have what's called an oligopoly, where you have a small number of companies, three, four, five, that dominate the lion's share of the market for a particular media sector. We see that that's the case in television, radio, newspaper publishing. But one place that you might not think that there is this kind of ownership concentration is in the internet. But indeed, over the past few decades, we do see this consolidation of ownership interests in the internet. that throughout the 1990s you had four companies that had a lion's share of business in the internet: Yahoo, Microsoft, AOL, and Google. And today, you also have four companies that have a very dominant role in the development and evolution of the internet. Google, with its online search engines, the social media magnet Facebook, Amazon, Amazon.com, that started off selling books and that's increasingly moved into electronic publishing and ebooks, and Apple, of course, with the success of its various devices like iPads, iPods, and so on. I guess one of the questions for us is to look at the tension between the possibility of new technologies and the openness and diversity that can result from these technologies versus the role of large corporations that dominate these media. And can we say that that the internet still remains this very wide open, free realm where anyone can express their view and users can have access to an infinite variety of viewpoints? Or do these larger companies like Google, Amazon, and Apple, through their dominant role in internet-related media, do they exert certain forms of control and limits over our access to information online? Do they, through their bright lights and their the way that they organize the online experience, do they tend to subtly push users down a particular road, providing them with certain forms of information rather than others? Or can we say that these larger corporations like Google and Amazon and Facebook are benevolent entities that are simply providing us with a convenient online experience where we still have access to an infinite array of ideas and views? So again, we need to think about this relationship between technology and ownership when it comes to the internet, and what role media owners play in terms of shaping, limiting, or managing access to information. This is a brief follow-up to the audio in the previous slide, where I was talking about the relationship between ownership and technology on the internet, and what role some of these larger companies play in the development of the internet and what's made available online. The previous slide mentioned that Google is one of the four top companies with interests in the internet today. And this slide gives us a sense of some of the more prominent subsidiaries of Google. So, for instance, Google, of course, is best known for its famous search engine, and it's also one of the most popular web browsers today, Google Chrome. It also operates a number of specialized searches like Google Finance, Google Scholar, that's used by academics. It has interest in media, owning YouTube, Google News. Also, Google has subsidiaries in many social media outlets such as Blogger, Google Talk. It has its very well-known and successful Google Maps, Google Earth, a number of mobile apps and activities. It owns the Android operating system, and there's also a lot of businesses related to advertising, Google Analytics, Google Video Ads, and so forth. So once again, when we're looking at the big picture here, and when we're looking at all of Google's subsidiaries and activities, it raises questions for us. What is Google's larger role on the internet, and in what ways is it structuring and organizing information that's made available to users online? Are there some social concerns that we should be concerned about? Or is all of this entirely benevolent and ultimately enhancing the user's experience online? Again, some questions for us to talk about.